You know those mornings when you wake up and feel utterly hopeless, like you stepped inside a great big void and are slowly merging into this big empty space, and it doesn't matter if it's sunny out or there are wonderful things to do, you just can't bring yourself to have any motivation to do any of it? And usually you just end up grabbing your phone and only further perpetuating the emotional numbness that you feel. I think this is really easy to fall into, especially with everything going on in the world. All it really takes is several days of reading the news first thing in the morning to begin to weigh on your spirit. And for me, feelings of hopelessness or emptiness usually derive from a feeling that things won't be okay or a lack of love somewhere in my life. And I know that going on my phone first thing in the morning is really bad for my mental health, so I try not to do it, but nevertheless, some days it happens, and these are some things that I do when I feel empty inside. It's really beneficial to know what brings you to a place of hopelessness or emptiness. Another one of mine is staying up all night editing or not speaking boundaries. And it's also great to know what brings you out of these places. So these are just things that work for me. Usually the first thing that I do is check in with my breath and with my body. If I have anxiety, sometimes I like to bang on my chest a little bit, but oftentimes when I'm feeling empty, I just feel nothing. I don't feel good or bad, and it's normally because I felt so much of the bad that my whole body just went numb. So I really like to breathe love into my vessel and remember just what lightness and joy feels like, and really call upon that experience in the cells of my body. And I usually crawl to my yoga mat. Yoga is my favorite way to deepen into my breath, and when I'm feeling empty, I either need to really relax, release, and let go, or I need to charge myself up and fill myself with prana or life energy. So as a general rule, practices for grounding and relieving anxiety should focus mostly on forward folds and twists. Any downward motion, this activates Apana Vayu, which is the downward flow of energy in the body located in the lower abdomen. And if you're looking to energize your body, it's great to do extension poses and inversions. I generally like to do hip openers on days where I feel empty because they're great for emotional release and also help me to find more ease in my spine, stand a little taller, and really have my chest feel open. And you can make these poses energizing simply by holding them for long periods of time and trying not to move, being the equanimous witnesser of everything around you. That can take simple poses to the next level, and some of the original yogis would choose a series of 5 poses or even one pose and hold it for hours. There's so much to learn in that space, and it can be extremely invigorating. And after I've made space in my body, I really like to do breath work. There are so many different kinds of pranayama that will have a different impact on your physiology. This one is more energizing, and I recommend doing more intense Kundalini breathworks with a teacher initially until you feel grounded enough to do them on your own, allowing yourself to release all concept of time and really drop into the sensation of the breath. I usually notice an immediate difference in my energy and my mood after doing breath work. It feels impossible for me not to, and I usually love grabbing my journal after I've done some sort of morning practice. Glennon Doyle, the author of Untamed, inspired me to write a letter from my happy self to my low, empty self, just to remind myself of how it feels to be fully in love with life, how I feel when I'm filled with clarity and purpose and passion, and this just helps me to call upon that experience instead of identifying so fully in what I'm feeling in the moment. And this is a random side note, but if you have a pet, go run to cuddle your pet. This will make you feel so much better, and if anything, you're doing this all for the sake of your pet's happiness, and that's enough. But I also like to light candles and pray. I like to have little ritualistic ceremonies with myself. I like to light black candles when I'm doing spell work or releasing karmic ties from other people or thought patterns, and white candles for protection. And I just really like to express my gratitude, thanks, say prayers to different people all over the world, and this is really sacred to me. I feel like we always forget that we can ask for help, that there are angels just wanting to help us, and it feels like such a safe space to pray and know that even if things aren't okay right now, they can be. And Hafiz writes in a poem, if you say a prayer someday, somewhere, it will come true, and I really resonate with that. Sometimes I just cry, and that's really healing and releasing too. The candles are really comforting, and I used to love watching comfort movies when I felt empty, but sometimes that would make me feel even more alone. So I've been reaching out to comfort books over comfort movies for me to have some sort of entertainment or distance myself from the thoughts in my mind. And of course, I wanted to mention psychotherapy, which completely changed my life and saved my life. It's so vital that we have safe spaces to go to discuss with complete honesty what is coming up for us, and know that it's all valid, and create better tools and coping methods to move forward and access our fullest potential. Today's video is sponsored by BetterHelp. Is there something interfering with your happiness or is preventing you from achieving your goals, like feelings of emptiness or hopelessness? BetterHelp will assess your needs and match you with your own licensed professional therapist. You can start communicating within 48 hours. It's not a crisis line, it's not self-help, it's professional counseling done securely online. There is a broad range of expertise in BetterHelp's 15,000 plus counselor network, which may not be locally available in many areas. The service is available for clients worldwide. You can log into your account anytime and send a message to your counselor. You'll get timely and thoughtful responses, plus you can schedule weekly video or phone sessions so you won't have to sit in an uncomfortable waiting room as with traditional therapy. BetterHelp is committed to facilitating great therapeutic matches, so they make it easy and free to change counselors if needed. It's more affordable than traditional offline counseling, and financial aid is available. BetterHelp wants you to start living a happier life today. Visit betterhelp.com/hitomi, that's better HELP, and join the over 1 million people taking charge of their mental health with the help of an experienced professional. Get 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/hitomi. One of my favorite practices when I'm feeling blue, empty, or down about my own life at all is to do something good for someone else. It feels so great to get out of my own little world and also just do an act of kindness. It releases dopamine and also makes you feel like you're of service and have purpose. And for me, it usually sparks this flame of possibility of all the good that we can do. Whatever that looks like for you, do something good for someone in your life. Chanting has provided a safe container for me for years. I started off my yogic journey with a bhakti practice, and when I chant, I'm just fully devoting myself to the experience of love and fully dropping into the frequency of the mantras. And mantra means in Sanskrit mind tool, so it really helps to protect your mind from lower vibrational thoughts and dense thoughts, because you're constantly being brought back to the mantra. And it's so wonderful to do this in community, in kirtan, but it's also great to do on your own. So I often find myself doing this, and I feel like I merge so fully with the mantra that I completely forget my world and just become a voice, a frequency, a sound, and it's really healing. And sometimes it just feels really good to scream at the edge of a cliff, in a forest, into your pillow, into your bathtub, just screaming at the top of your lungs and letting out absolutely any stagnant energy. Howling is also really great. When I lived in New York City, I would just howl at the moon, and oftentimes I would hear people blocks away howling back. but these are some things that I do to move through stagnant energies of emptiness, and I would love to hear some of your go-to practices to remember why you're alive. I hope to see you in a video soon. Thank you so much for being here and joining me today.